What's up, midgets? I've been planning to do this Q&A for a little while now, but I've been doing a lot since the show. I had the show, and then I graduated college, and then I moved back home. I started full-time at my job. Yada yada, we don't care. I hear you, but I figured I should let you know. And then also I got freaking sick. But anyways, let's just get into these questions because you guys sure had a lot of questions for me. I was a little overwhelmed. Hopefully I can answer all of them. And if I can't, oh well. Will you bulk up for an upcoming competition? I already kind of have. And I kind of don't plan on bulking up anymore unless I just really feel like it. But I don't see myself really feeling like it anytime soon. Body fat percentage? I don't know. I genuinely have no idea. I swear, I feel like as my metabolism catches up, I put muscle on, all these things. I feel like I look a little bit better every day. But that could just be either body fat leveling out or muscle going up. I don't know. But probably around like 10 to 12. Favorite food? Probably like, well, my go-to is chicken and rice. But if I had to like go out and eat, I don't know, a Q double bowl always hits. How did it feel up on stage? I was pretty nervous. I went up and man, it was cold backstage, but you get up there and I got warned thankfully, but they were like, man, it's pretty hot up there. And I think I was sweating, especially they had us doing the judging at the end. It was me and two other dudes, and we were like being judged for 3 to 5 minutes. It felt like a long time while I was up there, but then I had to get like a retouch up here because I was sweating. I was literally sweating. But as the show went on, I actually gained confidence. I'm kind of frustrated because, you know, this was my first show. I think if I went up there with everything I know now, I think I could have done better. I think I messed up a couple back poses as well. But you know what? You live and you learn. You live and you learn. What did you do to stay so lean without losing muscle? I ate a lot of protein from full amino acid complex sources such as chicken, a lot of tilapia, and then I ate a lot of whole clean source carbs such as rice, oats. Not so much oats by the end. By the end, it was pretty much chicken and rice the whole week, pretty much. You know, if I need some vegetables, I'd have some asparagus. And then besides that, you know, training, making sure I was getting my protein timed up throughout the day, at least to make me feel like I wasn't losing muscle. I don't know if it was actually helping me prevent muscle loss, but it made me feel fuller, longer, so that had something to do with it in my head. But yeah, that's pretty much it. What's your maintenance / cutting calories? I'm 5'4" and I find cutting so hard. I was actually at 3,100 with cardio mixed in, but for the first 2 weeks after the show, I was getting up in the 3,000s pretty frequently with cardio, but still, it was probably too much. And, you know, I just recently brought it down to 2,900 with some cardio mixed in. Maybe I'll bump it up to 3,000. Maybe I'll go back up to 3,100. But I'd say maintenance for me is around 2,700 calories. That's just an estimate. I don't know. There's no precise science to it. If you're getting chubby, it means you're probably over your maintenance. If you're getting a little too lean, then maybe bump up the calories a little bit. That's my best advice. I'm no doctor or dietitian. Supplement / vitamins you take daily for health and muscle mass. I take creatine. I take a protein powder, whey isolate. I didn't used to, but I started during the prep, and I'm going to keep doing it because I like it. I take a multivitamin. I take some probiotics. I started doing the probiotics. It's been pretty helpful. And I used to take fish oil, but I kind of ran out of that. Maybe I'll buy more. But yeah, don't go too crazy with the vitamins if you can't afford it. You know, I'd say if you had to choose one supplement, you know, gym oriented, maybe multivitamins and all that. That's just general health supplement. But if I had to take one gym supplement, creatine. But even then, I wouldn't consider creatine just a gym supplement. It helps in the gym, but it's kind of just a general health supplement. But that's a topic for another day. What do you eat to get so shredded? Chicken and rice if you're really wanting to get down to it. It's simple but effective. Highest ever recorded body weight? 159 pounds. I was this close to 160. This close. It was last summer. I think before that, the highest I'd ever been was 156. But, you know, it goes up and down. Summer of 2023, I think the highest was 156. Last summer was 159. It's a little different this summer just because I'm coming off a show, but I think I'm getting up to like 152 right now. I kind of want to maybe not go over 152. I think once I get over 152, the chubby CCUM arc starts to begin, but I don't know if I want to start that quite yet. Maybe in the winter, but for now, I kind of want to ride off of this bodybuilding show into the summer. You see what I'm saying? Stay lean for the summer. What helped you lose weight? A lot of cardio. You know, a good diet, obviously. My coach laid out the diet for me. If you keep asking for my exact diet as well, I'm sorry, I'm not going to give it to you because that's not really for me to give. That is my coach's diet. But the thing I can tell you is to do cardio. I'm not going to tell you whether to do fasted cardio or not, but I'm just going to tell you do cardio and make sure you got some kind of protein shake or some kind of meal ready on board in case you start getting hungry, especially once you're in a deep deficit. It's best not to let yourself get hungry. So, you know, time it up throughout the day. That's been something I've been kind of struggling with, and I'm finally starting to balance out my hunger levels. I was just freaking hungry all the time during prep. So now I need to remind myself when I start getting a little hungry, I'm not about to start losing all my progress, you know? It's like a level of anxiety that I need to get over. But you know what? That just takes time. And I'm finally starting to get into it. I can't believe it's been 3 weeks since the show. But, you know, for the most part, you can check the Instagram. I think by now I maybe posted it, but I just posted a physique update 3 weeks out from the competition. What's your top tips for losing weight while still gaining muscle? And if it's not out, be patient. It's going to be. Well, realign your goals with what the process is. If you want to keep putting on muscle, unless you're in the first year to 2 years of lifting, let's be real. If you want to put on muscle, you probably shouldn't be in a deficit. But if you're really feeling like the summer's around the corner, you want to look prime, and you know you waited too long and you want to put on muscle and lose weight, you know, up the protein, up the cardio, you know, train. I'm not saying overtrain, but you know, make sure you're getting in there at least twice a week for certain muscle groups. And yeah, you should be good. What is something you are looking forward to improving in your off season? My freaking chest. These bad boys. And maybe, I don't know. I felt pretty good about everything else. Maybe my posing? I don't know. The whole posing routine I made up on my own. So whenever I see compliments about that, just know. They hit. They hit different in here, in my heart. But yeah, my chest overall, pretty much. Arm measurements. I'm going to use this as a topic of just overall. I don't really measure my muscle size or my waist or anything. I don't measure. I go purely off what the mirror looks like. Well, you know, what I look like in the mirror. So I have no clue what my arm measurements are. You know, I just don't think I'm already very, I don't want to diagnose myself with OCD, but I'm very OCD about certain things, you know, and I don't think adding arm measurements or waist measurements or anything like that is going to be beneficial when I already have all these other things I'm pretty freaking OCD about. Is there any kind of content you're looking forward to post for YouTube stuff? So, a lot of you want me to do educational stuff, and I kind of want to do some educational stuff, but I don't want to think of it as education, because I don't think I'm smart enough to make educational content, at least not yet. Maybe in like 5 to 10 years, maybe you'll be seeing me with Jeff Nipper, we will be doing some freaking scientific research, but for now, I'm 21, I just graduated college with a business degree. I don't think I'm really educated enough to be talking about that, so I think I just want to do entertainment. That's what I want to categorize my videos as. If that's fitness entertainment, great. But I don't want to be limited. You know, if you ever saw my Messi Omega video, I want to do stuff like that. I made that video and I was very happy with it. I want to be able to make videos and post them and be like, that was a good video. That's the kind of content I'm looking forward to. I just want to be real. Wow, that's ironic timing. I want to be real with you guys. I'm going to leave that in. I'm not going to edit that out. I look back at my old videos and I cringe a little bit because I could tell. That's part of the reason I did this show, to gain a little confidence in myself. I look at those videos and, you know, I was being very loud, very like, but that wasn't really real. You know, I would turn the camera on, we're going to hit arms. It's going to be so freaking awesome. And then I'd put the camera down and be like, and you know, I'd have to like lock in. If I don't feel like being upbeat or happy, you guys are going to know about it because I think that's more realistic and I think that's better for you and me in the long run. That's the kind of content I'm looking forward to. And also leave suggestions. Comment down below what you want me to post. Let me know how often you want me to post as well. I'm feeling like I could be pulling out daily uploads. At least if I shoot for daily uploads, who knows what I'll end up getting out. But I think for the most part, I'm either all in or all out, and I've been all out for a while, and I think I need to start going all in. What was the typical meal looking like to get this weight as a short dude? Chicken and rice. How did you start your whole bodybuilding journey? Football, and then eventually just realizing, oh, I kind of just enjoy lifting, and then eventually being like, oh, I have pretty good genetics for this, and then eventually just posting on social media, and then eventually just very recently, last 4 months, I said about 6 months ago that I planned on doing a competition, but I didn't really mean it until about 4 months ago, and then I made the announcement, and I had you guys hold me accountable to it. So yeah. And I do plan on competing again. I just can't tell you when, because I don't know when. Are you fond of looking like Messi? Yes. You know why? Because it's part of the reason you're even here watching right now. If I didn't look like Messi, sure, I might have blown up a little bit from the whole 5'4" meme thing, but I genuinely think looking like Messi is the reason I'm here right now. Not the only reason, but a pretty big freaking reason why. Very fond. Best cheat meal? I don't know. Before the bodybuilding show, I didn't ever really do cheat meals or anything. I mean, I've been on a diet. Like, I was on prep for about 8 to 10 weeks, but I've been dieting for the longest time. So I never really did cheat meals. I don't know. Like I said earlier about Qdoba, I consider Qdoba almost a cheat meal, but obviously it's freaking chicken and rice and pretty healthy stuff. So that's not really a cheat meal. I'd say my favorite cheat meal, well, going the Qdoba angle, maybe getting a burrito instead of a bowl. I know, freaking crazy. Freaking crazy, but that I just don't like to feel like shit after eating. So yeah, if I really feel like cheating on my diet, I'll get a burrito instead of a bowl at Qdoba. Besides lifting, what are some other things you're passionate about? Not much lately, you know. I do random little things, but nothing like major. I'd say this. I've been planning to do YouTube again. See, social media is one thing, but doing YouTube to me is like in my core. It's like in my heart. I started doing YouTube when I was in like 6th grade, and ever since then, you know, being a bodybuilder is one thing, but being a YouTuber, I set a goal for myself to become a YouTuber freaking damn near 10 years ago. And I've been making videos just for the longest time. So besides bodybuilding, this. Also hiking. Will you ever take gear? I don't know if I can say that word on YouTube. Will I ever take gear? No, because I promised certain people I wouldn't, and I am not gonna break that promise. You know, honestly, if I hadn't made that promise, maybe, you know, but I made a promise, and I don't break promises. That may be a pretty blanket statement, but, you know, at least in this case, I would never break that promise. How do you feel physically being that lean? Pretty good, actually. As long as you're eating healthy and staying active, and, you know, not trying to stay deathly lean like I was about 3 weeks ago, I actually feel pretty good being lean. You know, it's also a mental thing as well. You know, I maybe would feel better if I was like an extra 5% body fat, maybe, but I was pretty lean when I started lifting, so I don't really even know. Sure, I felt a little bit better in the past when I weighed like high 150s, but overall, like, I could probably stay high 140s to low 150s year round pretty easily. People, you know, it's very genetic. It varies for a lot of people. But overall, I'd say I feel pretty freaking good, especially right now. Every single workout has been so amazing. It's like It's a Wonderful Life. You guys ever seen that? Maybe not. Never mind. How many calories you eat a day? Right now, 2,900, maybe a little bit more some days. But I do cardio every day, so, you know, and I lift almost every day, so balances out a little bit. How did you feel the last few weeks of prep? Well, there's a reason I was not posting very much on social media. It's because I felt like and I didn't want, you know, I figured if I just hold off on posting until the big show day, maybe for my next show, I'll have people who can help me produce videos. That's kind of what I want to, it's kind of what I want. It's kind of why I want to go all in on YouTube right now, just so that way maybe by my next show, I have a little bit of extra help to make videos. But for the most part, I was pretty freaking dead. I was in school. I was all by myself. You know how people talk about like COVID and like social isolation? Maybe you guys are too young to even, or maybe you guys weren't socially isolating back then, but it was basically COVID 2.0 for me, except I would just lock myself in my room with chicken and fairly often tilapia and call it a day. I was pretty exhausted. Not very fun. But but worth it, I should say. I should clarify that. Very worth it. What workout do you use? Like push, pull, legs, and those things? I do upper, lower, rest on repeat. So it doesn't always fall on the same day of the week. Also, if I miss a day, on the upper, lower, rest, repeat, like type of thing, I pretty much hit each muscle group almost three times a week. But if I miss a day, I'm still hitting it at least twice a week. You see what I'm saying? So it's pretty much guaranteeing that I'm making progress each week instead of missing a workout and having to delay. This is pretty much guaranteeing I'm making a little bit of progress every single week. Because it adds up. Every missed day in the gym, it's not a big deal, but just know the more you miss, the more it accumulates. The law of accumulation. And I'll try and make videos. I know you guys want fitness content from me, so I'm going to give you fitness content, but don't expect it to be like other fitness content. Actually, there's a lot of fitness content. I guess it varies a lot, but you know what? I kind of want to carve my own niche out of it and not be limited to it either. You see what I'm saying? I have a personality outside of the gym, but it is nice being home now with my family because it forces me to actually be social versus at college when I was on prep, and I pretty much went to the gym with my head down and just would hop on that bike and just do my cardio, socially isolated. But now I'm trying to be more social. How long did Shredded Messi train to become like that? About 5.5 years. I'd say, I don't know, 6, 7, 8. It depends on how you ask the question. But I've been training on and off since I was like 5 years old when I started Pee Wee football. If that answers your question. I don't know what to tell you on that. How do you deal with wanting to cheat on your diet? It always happens to me. I'd say it was the hardest to stay on track with my diet during prep only because I actually had to. It's a lot easier to stay on track with your diet when you don't feel this pressure to. So I guess that's kind of the answer. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. I call it the 80-20 rule. Aim to be on track with your diet at least 80 to 90% of the time. And if something arises, don't beat yourself up because it's going to pretty much guarantee that you're going to fall off on your diet. If you need to do a cheat meal, don't let it, let it motivate you. If you have something like last night, I had one more cookie from my coach. I've just been doing this thing where I kind of pick away at unhealthy food. And you know what? Last night I was just like, frick it. If this is sitting in the house, it's going to bother me, just the fact that it's here. So I just ate that cookie and I enjoyed it. And I went to the gym today and I had a killer workout. And I'm not beating myself up over it because I don't need to. So that's how you do it. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Try and remember why you're doing it. When did you first think to compete in a competition to realize you had potential? Well, I realized I had potential pretty early on when I went from 115 pounds to 135 pounds in like a few months. And then I wanted to start competing probably around two to 2.5 years ago, I'd say, is when I actually decided I wanted to do it. Actually, maybe like 3 years. Actually, probably 3 years is when I decided I wanted to do a competition. But clearly, it took quite some time to actually get to that point. So, yeah. That's pretty much the answer to that. What are your goals? To be the best version of myself. And if I can, document the process. I hope to look back. Even 6 months ago, I looked back at who I was. And I don't look down on myself. But you know what? I can look back and be like, psh, yeah, and even competed in a bodybuilding show. He has no idea what's ahead of him. I want to be able to look back and not look down on myself, but be able to recognize I did that thing I wanted to do. If you can't look back every 6 months and be proud of something you've done, or not even 6 months. Okay, the time frame ranges for everyone. But for me, it's about 6 months now where I want to be able to look back every 6 months and be like, psh, I'm doing better than he was. And that is the case, at least at the moment. I'm very happy with where I'm at. What was your calorie deficit when you were cutting? Well, I can't say too much because it varied from day to day. And also, it was my coach's plan, so I don't want to give away too much info. But I don't know. It was probably high 1,000s to maybe occasionally low 2,000 calories with a lot of cardio. So I wasn't too concerned about the calories. I just stuck to the plan as it was laid out. And if we adjusted, we adjusted. It's about the client and the coach trust. What's your split in rest days? Upper, lower, rest. I already said that, but I figured I'd say it again in case you missed it. Actually, how tall are you? 5'4" and proud. I rarely ever get insecure about my height anymore. Actually, I don't ever get insecure about my height anymore. But there was a point, over the last 5 years on and off, where I'd still get insecure. As the years go on, I get it becomes less and less of an issue. And at this point, especially after the show, it's a non-issue. I don't even think about being 5'4". But if you are insecure about being 5'4", take advantage of it. Use it. The fact that you're 5'4", I mean, come on. You're built to do bodybuilding. Come on. Do you know how many people wish they could be 5'4"? Come on. Come on, man. Own that shit. Be proud. How to lose belly fat. You have to lose overall body fat. You can't spot reduce fat. I'm sorry to tell you. If you have a lot of belly fat, it most likely means you just have a lot of fat. And you probably should just try and get less body fat as a whole. And guess what? If you try and lose body fat, the belly fat will slowly evaporate. How much cardio did you do per session? Well, I always did like the max of what my coach would let me do, but I always did like 60 minutes. He didn't want me to do double cardio sessions, like back to back, but I only got so much dang time. So I would do like max 2 hours, but it was about an hour to 2 hours, somewhere in there. Very rarely 45 minutes. I was going pretty crazy with the cardio. What build biceps best? Preacher curls. That's all I do at this point. Just 2 sets, 3 times a week, preacher curls. And I think I'm having pretty good progress. Any plan for football? I'm assuming you mean soccer because of Messi. No, I'm fully committed to bodybuilding at this time. But maybe afterwards I'll let the GOAT genes kick in and maybe I can become a soccer phenom. Like how all these YouTubers get into boxing. Maybe I'll become a soccer player. Or football. Sorry, football. How you feeling after stepping on stage for the first time? Very confident to do it again. I think even if I mess up and don't do it as well next time or something, things can always go wrong. I think I did as well as I could have on this show. Given where I'm at, I think that's the best I did and the best I could have done. And if I don't do as well on the next one, oh well, at least I did as well as I could on this one. The first one was, setting the standard, and now I just got to live up to it. But there's no pressure. How are you so handsome? Joey, come on, man. Stop. That's all you. It's the Messi genes. It's on a real note, it's the Messi genes. It's the GOAT genes. It applies everywhere, including my face. What is the minimum height to build a body like you? 5'4", at least as far as I can tell you. That's all I can speak for. I'm 5'4", so that's all I'm going to speak for. Waist measurement on stage, I already did a whole thing earlier in the video, so if you missed that, go check that out. But no, I have no freaking clue. No freaking clue. How long have you been training for? I answered this. 5.5 years, consistently. How did you grow your triceps and widen your arms? I did overhead tricep extensions and I did push downs because I figured they do different things and it's best to do both. It's pretty much guaranteed that you'll make progress if you're doing both. You ever think about that? What was the most difficult part of preparation? Losing weight, dieting, etc. I'd say it was the loneliness. I know you didn't list that, but it was the loneliness. And the thing is, you could say, well, then go out and do stuff with friends. But I felt more like even when I'm with other people, there's this innate sense of being alone, not necessarily in a physical sense, but in like a mental sense of like no one else is doing what I'm doing. No one knows what I'm really going through. Not that I'm, it's self-imposed. It's not like I can complain too much because it's like you're doing it to yourself. But, it's the idea of being alone in your pursuit of what it is you want. And that was probably the hardest part for me. Also, between dieting and cardio, probably diet by the end, but cardio at the beginning. I want to train abs, but when I do the crunch or plank, I don't feel anything. This is a good point. Guess what? You just have to have faith. Think about this. Imagine you don't lift for a while and you go to the gym and you ever had this happen where you're training and you don't really feel it and you're like, dang, what's wrong with me? Why don't I feel this? But the next day you wake up and, ooh, man, I am sore. Or if you do a new exercise you don't typically do in the gym and you're like, I don't feel this. And you wake up the next day, ooh, I'm freaking sore. That should give you faith that even when you're doing an exercise and you may be doing it wrong, but if you, at least to the best of your knowledge, are doing an exercise exactly how it needs to be performed and a good amount of reps, a good amount of sets, if you're doing everything on a technical sense correctly, even if you don't feel it, you just have to have faith that the mechanics of the muscle are doing their thing and that you will be growing from it. So That's my scientific answer. What's my personal answer? Maybe before you do the exercise, try and squeeze the muscle and get the blood flowing first. So that way by the time you're doing it, you can actually feel it. That's my tip. Bruv, did you win? No, I got second. And that may sound sad, but, I'm proud of it. The guy who beat me was pretty big. I think I had him beat in some spots, but, in other areas he had me, so I can't complain. Overall, though, it gives me motivation to get first. Because if I won, who knows, maybe I would have become complacent. Maybe I would have thought, I don't need to do this again. I got first on my first show. Who cares? But the fact that I didn't get first, well, I want to get first, so now I have to compete again. You see how it works? Tips for beginners who started going to the gym. Just eat, sleep, train, repeat. That's my best advice. It's common advice because it works. Just make sure when you're eating, it shouldn't be eat everything in sight. You should definitely eat with intention, train with intention, sleep with intention, I guess. Everything should have intent behind it. But for the most part, if you're starting to go to the gym, you've pretty much started the process, and eventually you'll start getting TikToks on your For You page. You'll be getting YouTube videos added to your recommended. You'll be going on Instagram and seeing all kinds of dudes on your search feed, and eventually you will just slowly learn. The best way to learn is by gaining experience in what it is you're trying to do. So the longer you do it, the more you will pick up on things. And it's also a trial and error kind of thing. Don't be afraid to try things out. I still add and cut things from my prep and everything. To this day, I still swap things out. I add things. I'm not afraid to try new things because I am aware that I don't know everything. Also, that's another thing. Don't ever think you know it all, because you don't. Even the best of the best don't necessarily know everything. Show us a pic of before you became ripped. Here you go. Did you enjoy that? I hope not too much. I hope, actually, that was a bad question. Are you satisfied? Never mind. Nope, that's a bad way of phrasing it too. Never mind. Moving on. How can someone be so shredded naturally? Well, genetics, a good diet, and training consistently. Consistently is the most important word in that sentence. I guess that's only 2 words. Training consistently. But the consistently part is the most important part of that. Doing something right one time is not going to mean you're able to make progress in a continuous sense, I always say, if you're given a bunch of chicken, let's say, and you think, okay, I'm going to eat all of this chicken today and put on as much muscle as possible because of it. You're probably better off spacing that chicken day by day. It's better to get like 50 grams of protein today and tomorrow and the next day than it is to get like 250 grams all in one day and have nothing left the next few days. Does that make any sense? So how to be shredded? Just take it day by day. And don't be afraid to not look shredded all year long. Tips regarding volume on a deep deficit. In your opinion, lowering volume works better? To be honest, don't tell my coach this, but I kind of didn't train up. I didn't change too much of how I trained during the prep, only because I knew my body was accustomed to a certain style of training, and I figured I know what I'm doing for the most part. I needed help with the diet, but as far as training went, I wanted to see if I could figure out a way that worked for me, so that way I could replicate it for the next show, and I did. So I think just sticking to what your body's accustomed to is probably best, because in a deep deficit, it really comes down to training, or it comes down to more so diet and, getting the protein in and sleeping adequately. And if you're training at all, it's pretty much guaranteeing, I can't use that word too confidently, but it's pretty much guaranteeing that you're not going to lose any muscle. And if you do, you'll get it back pretty quickly. So there you go. Are you natty? Yes. I competed in the Emerald Cup Naturals, and I have a video on Instagram right now that for some reason just won't die of me saying, oh, I'm natty because my testosterone is low. It was meant to be funny. I know that a lot of people with low testosterone can also have crashed testosterone from doing a cycle. I understand that. I just figured it was a little bit of rage bait. Comment bait, I should say. But yes, I am natty. There was an untested version of this show, and if I thought unless the guy who beat me is not natty, clearly I'm not peak human physique either. You know what I'm saying? It's not like I went up there and just absolutely absolutely demolished everyone. In fact, if you look at stage pictures, I'm actually not even relatively the biggest dude on stage. I'm actually smaller than some dudes on stage. But the reason I got second is because I brought that conditioning, which is a whole nother circus, of whether I took some stuff to get that shredded. But I'm telling you right now, I have no reason to lie. I am natty, but I don't expect you to believe that I'm natty. Supplements you take in training split. Good work, man. Big inspiration for me. Well, I think I've answered both of those things, but thanks for the compliment. I appreciate it. Is your name actually Cum? My name is Chase Cumming. That's where CCUM comes from. Oh my gosh. Is this news to you guys? I think it's in my Instagram. I think it's on there. Chase Cumming. I always think it's clear, but then apparently it's not. So yeah, the Cumming, the CCUM, that's just my name. Plot twist. Can I start using creatine when I get back to working out after having a break for 2 months? No, you'll die. Your muscles will explode because they'll get too big too fast. Jokes. But no, I mean, a lot of people do loading phases with creatine, I know. But honestly, it's not that deep. You can probably just jump right back into it. It's not a big deal. I think the reason why people do loading phases is just because maybe it's more cost efficient. I don't freaking know. Maybe it takes time for it to reach the muscles or saturate into the muscles. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I don't freaking know. When are we going to see a 6-month bulk? Sorry, I hate to break it to you, but I don't really see myself bulking. Maybe the closest thing is a lean bulk. But like I said, I actually feel pretty good being lean year round. Maybe if my progress stagnates, I'll up the calories, but only by 200 at a time. Only 200. Because anything more, you're really not getting too much more muscle out of it. You're maybe putting on weight, but putting on weight is not the same thing as putting on muscle. And my main goal is hypertrophy in muscle. So, sorry. I wake up in the middle of the night and have a bowl of cereal and wake up and don't really remember. Well, maybe tie yourself down to the bed in the middle of the night so that way you don't get up and eat cereal. Or just don't buy cereal. Maybe throw it out. If you don't have cereal in the house, how are you going to eat the cereal? That should actually be option A. Maybe don't tie yourself down to the bed. What's your current calorie intake every day? 2,900 calories at the moment. What split do you run? Upper lower rest. Train obliques as a natty, yes or no? I don't want to increase my waist size. I think whether or not you're natty doesn't really matter too much. I don't train obliques. And I can't speak on anyone else who says whether you should or shouldn't. But I don't train obliques. And I like to think I have pretty good obliques. What got you into the gym / your motivation to keep going? Well, I already said that it was football that got me into the gym, pretty much. But what keeps me going? The idea that I can improve. The idea of improvement sparks curiosity. To me, there's no motivation. It's just purely curiosity. And once I've answered that, curiosity, maybe I'll stop. But that's the thing. I'll never know. Until eventually I'm freaking in my 40s and suddenly I don't look as good as I did when I was in my 20s. But until that day comes, I'm just going to stay curious and keep wanting to, to find out. I'm a curious person at heart, and I want to find out how big and how good I can get at bodybuilding. Why did you get second and not first? I don't think I was big enough. Maybe it was posing, but, I can fix that pretty quickly. But if it was the fact that I wasn't big enough, I came in the most conditioned, I think, out of everyone at that event. Maybe not 100%, but I think I was one of the best conditioned there. If that meant sacrificing a little size, I did it. So maybe if I didn't get as conditioned, maybe I would have won. But at the end of the day, I'm only 21, and the dude who beat me, I don't know how old he was, but he was a little bit bigger than me. So yeah, like I said earlier, if I wasn't natty, I think I probably would have been easily the biggest one at that competition. And the fact that I wasn't should tell you something. It should tell you something. Other than calorie deficit, what's some other hacks for cutting? Well, making sure you're spacing out your food throughout the day so you don't get hungry and end up binge eating. That's a good piece of advice. Diet soda. Let's just say it helped me quite a bit at certain points. By the end, I pretty much cut it out. But at least during those first few weeks, or at least the whole beginning portion of prep, I don't think I could have done it without diet soda. Were you skinny or fat? I was closer to being skinny than I've ever been to being fat, if that answers your question. I don't think I've ever been skinny. I just have good genes. I have good genes. I will give it to my parents. They gave me good genes. how's bodybuilding treating you? We're in like, it's like a marriage, you know, there's ups and downs, but as long as you work them out, it's a pretty good freaking marriage. I think we're both getting something out of it. I think bodybuilding is glad to have me. I don't know if that makes sense. I think the bodybuilding community is glad to have me, and I'm glad to be a part of the bodybuilding community. We have each other. So I think the further I get into it, the easier it is to actually adjust to the lifestyle. Especially after now doing this first show, because now I can actually call myself a bodybuilder and not feel like a fraud. I feel like a real bodybuilder. Right now, I feel like even though I'm sitting here by myself, it's nice to know I have somewhat of an audience who cares a little bit. And it's nice to have the show as like a resume point to back up what it is I say. What do you eat every day? Right now, pretty much. Let me list what I had yesterday. I can just tell you. I had chicken breast, white rice. Whoa. I had chicken breast, white rice. And then my treat to myself is Signature Select Crispy Rice to get some extra carbs. It's fairly low sugar, but I enjoy that as my treat before the gym. I had a couple pieces of gummy bears before the gym. I had whey protein isolate. I had oats, more chicken. I had a Skinny Pop little package thing as a snack. I had an artisanal bakery bread roll. I had some ground beef. And then yesterday I had a big cheat. It was a big cheat meal. I had poke nachos. My mom and her boyfriend made a bunch of those, so I made sure to chow down on those. Then I had tuna. I had a 000 strawberry Oikos yogurt. I had a nectarine. I had a little bit more crispy rice, and I had some oats. How did you start the process of bodybuilding? I've been wanting to compete. Find a coach. That's the best advice I can give you. Simple, but effective. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Go check out some of my older videos. They may not be as good as this one because I know this video is freaking amazing. But yeah, go check those out. Thank you for all the support. I wouldn't be here without you guys. And yeah, hopefully I am here more often to take care of you midgets. CCUM out.